It won't be as many names this time, alhamdulillah. I'm hoping it'll be, well, a lot of it's going to be context regarding how they retrieve the narrations and whatnot. So the book is at least 20% names. That's not wrong. Alhamdulillah. Yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, I think it was like 50%. Alhamdulillah. So it was definitely a tongue twister. Let's go ahead and get started. A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Verily, our praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His aid, and we ask for His forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of our own selves and from the evils of our own actions. And whomsoever Allah guides, none can misguide. And whomsoever Allah leaves astray, none can guide back to the correct path. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We testify there is no deity worthy of our worship except for Allah, who is alone, no partnership, and never has and never will be another. And we bear witness that Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the last and the final prophet of Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brothers and sisters, friends and family, everybody tuning into the live stream, and everybody joining us inside of the Zoom room for reflections. Thank you for joining us again for our Sunday discussion. We will be continuing our reading of Al-Muhaddithat by Muhammad Akram Nadwi, which is in regards about the women scholars in Islam. So last week we had left off the ways of receiving the hadith, page number 84 inside of chapter 3, occasions, travels, venues for the kinds of learnings in regards for hadith learning. So with that, am I missing? I'm missing one page here, alhamdulillah. Let's see if I can, I have it here in a resource, and it's only about a page, well, that one page that's missing, alhamdulillah. I accidentally deleted one too many pages here. Give me one moment here so I can start us off with the reading of that, inshallah. Okay, here we are. So ways of receiving hadith. Hadith's experts distinguish 8 ways of receiving a hadith with corresponding formulas that should prefix the transmission of the hadith to someone else. And women made as good use of each of these 8 ways as the men did. First is sama, of hearing. The high tradition has been to hear the hadith together with the chain of narrators connecting it to the Prophet, spoken by the teacher about sama, hearing the word of the teacher spoken from memory or from the teacher's book. Ibn Salah al-Salah says, this type is the highest of all according to the majority of scholars. Whoever hears it from the sheikh, he can say, I heard samatu, or so-and-so say, or he narrated to me, or he narrated to us, or he informed us, or he provided to us information. In Al-Khitab al-Baghdadi, Baghdadi affirms from the range of expressions that the highest expression is to say, I heard. And when reliable books of hadith were compiled, people started hearing these books from their teachers with a chain of authority going back to the authors of these books and from them to the Prophet. This way has continued to our time, which then leads into here in page 85. And whether the books are small or large, the originals of the books, the manuscripts, have a chain of references, starting with the copyist of the particular work and ending with its authors. Most also have an appendix documenting the occasions of Sama with a list of those who attended. It is from such documentation that one realizes how commonly women attended these occasions, and often children also. And it was a controversy among scholars whether or at what age children could be counted of having heard and therefore qualified to transmit hadith. Al-Khattab al-Baghdadi accuses or discusses the controversy in detail and then concludes that the majority of scholars hold that hearing the hadith is even allowed for those who are less than the age of 5, and that is the correct opinion according to us. And Ibn Salah says, what the practice of the later people of hadith has been established on, i.e. the general rule for them, is that they write for a 5-year-old or more that he heard, and for less than 5 that he attended or he was brought to the assembly. And what is proper in this manner is that the condition of each individual child can be examined. If we find him above the condition of one who does not comprehend what is said, then we will validate his hearing. Ibn al-Salah then gives an example of someone who narrated what he heard when he was a child, was questioned about it, and his account of what he understood was not found wanting. Aisha was certainly what we would call a child prodigy, so her hearing of hadith as a young girl might be considered out of the ordinary, but the examples of young girls listening to hadith and attending assemblies for that purpose, especially in the later centuries, are plentiful. The second is al-ard, and the term al-ard, literally the offering, refers to reading out of the text to the teacher. Ibn Salah says it is the same whether you read it or someone else reads it and you are hearing it being read out, or whether you hear it being read out from a book or from your memory, or whether the sheikh knows by heart what is being read out to him, or he does not know but is himself holding his original, or another reliable person in the class is holding it. And Al-Khadab says most fuqaha and all the imams of the knowledge, i.e. the hadith and athar, hold that reading to the teacher is like hearing from him. And Imams Malik ibn Anas and Sufyan al-Thawri also consider the reading by the teacher or reading to him as the same. And the best and most usual expression to indicate reception through ard is to say, I read to so and so, or it was read to so and so, and I was hearing, and he approved it. One may also use the expression as for sama'a on condition of proper classification, i.e., he narrated to us by our reading to him, or he informed us by our reading to him. In later periods, people used he narrated to us for sama'a, and he informed us for ard. And Ibn Salah cites Muhammad ibn al-Hasan al-Tamimi al-Johari as saying, this is the opinion of most people of hadith, whose number cannot be counted. They made he informed us an indicator of saying, I read to him. Ijaza. Ijaza is the teacher's formal permission to someone to narrate from him all of his narrations or his writings. The ijaza can be of several kinds. First, the teacher gives permission to a specified person for a specified thing with words to the effect that I have given you permission to transmit such and such a book or what is contained in my list. And this is the highest type of ijaza, and the later scholars are unanimous in allowing it. Second, or B, the teacher gives permission to a specified person for an unspecified thing, meaning I permit it to you all my narrations. The majority among traditionalists and jurists allow it. And third, C, that the teacher gives permission without specifying who or what is permitted, something like, I have given permission to all Muslims or to everyone who has lived or so could have heard from me within my lifetime. And this kind of ijaza amma is disputed and usually disallowed without some limiting attribute. And about ijaza in general, Al-Khattab al-Baghdadi says the people differ regarding ijaza of hadith. Some of them allow it, others do not, and those who accept it are more numerous than of those who accept it. And some differ regarding the obligation to act upon those hadith that have reached them in this way. And the Zahiris and some later scholars hold that it is not obligatory to act upon the contents of these hadith because they are like unconnected chains, or they are like narrations from obscure people. And the majority of the scholars say that it is obligatory to act upon them. Al-Munawala. Munawala or presentation is that the teacher hands his original or what is in its place to a student, or the student brings the original to the teacher, who then says words to the effect, this is my hadith or my book, so narrate it. The condition is that the teacher transfers control either by making the student the new owner or by lending the text to him so he can copy from it and compare with it. And the majority of earlier or latter people affirm that it is not allowed for narrating hadiths got through Manawala or to use he narrated to us or he informed us unless the terms are sufficiently defined. And Ibn al-Salah says the correct and chosen opinion on which the practice of the majority of scholars is based, and it is preferred by the people of piety and accuracy, is that they disallow using the expressions he narrated to us or he informed us or similar to that unconditionally. Rather, one should detail it, so he should say, so and so has informed us through manawala or ijaza or something like that. Al-Mukataba. The term Mukataba means correspondence whereby the teacher transmits a written copy of his hadith to the students. If combined with explicit permission to narrate the hadith from him, it becomes like an ijaza. Ibn al-Salah says, many great scholars of hadith like Layth ibn Sa'ad and Mansur allowed it in Mukataba use of the expression here narrated to us or he informed us, but the preferred way is of those who say, so and so wrote to me. And this is the correct way and appropriate to the people of caution. Similarly, if he says, he informed us by writing, an early example of a woman using correspondence is Ubaydullah bint Abi Hashim. She wrote to the companion Al-Nu'man ibn Bashir, asking him what had passed on the tongue of Zayd ibn Hawarij in the last moments of his life. And in effect, she was asking for a report for what Al-Nu'man bin ibn Bashir heard, and he wrote her a detailed letter in reply. Al-Ilam, the term Ilam is used where the teacher informs the student about this hadith or this book is his hearing or narration from so and so without explicitly permitting that the student to narrate it further. Ibn al-Salah says, after mentioning the difference of opinion among scholars about this, the preferred opinion is what has been mentioned by many scholars of hadith, that the narration of hadith received like this is not allowed. And al-Wasiyah, Wasiya is when a sheikh, by the will at the time of his death or by others, writing coincides his original to the specific individual. And some scholars have allowed narration on the authority of Wasiya, but the majority, in the absence of explicit permission, i.e., an ijaza from the sheikh, do not allow it. In Wujada, literally finding as a person discovering a hadith or book, recognizing its author by the handwriting, then saying, I found the handwriting of so and so. In this case, he is not allowed to use the expression so and so informed us unless he had an ijaza. And an example of wajida from the time of the companion successors is that Hamaman ibn Yahya, narrated from the mother of Suleiman al-Yashkuri, brought out his book and it was read out to Thabit, Qatada, Abu Bashir, Al-Hasan, and Mutarif. Then they, except for Thabit, narrated the whole of that. Thabit narrated from it only one hadith. And Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Ibrahim al-Shafi'i says, Samana bint Hamdan narrated to me, saying, I found in the book of my grandfather, Al-Wada ibn Hassan, where he says, Amr ibn Shimar has narrated to us from Abu Jafar Muhammad ibn Ali, from Ali ibn Hussein, from Jabir ibn Abdullah, that when the Prophet ﷺ sat down on the pulpit, he would say, so on and so forth. So the documentation of such, of Sama and Ijaza, it has long been an established tradition among the scholars of Hadith to preserve Samas and Ijazas. These documents are a precious resource. The Samas, typically found appended to the book or written into its margins, contain a statement of the date and the venue of the assembly, the name of the persons keeping the record, and other details, descriptions of the teachers, a list of those who attended with their titles, kunyas, names, and genealogy, also comments such as who and how many attended all the sessions in a course of study without missing any, those who missed something, even those who were dozing or talking in class. The reproductions should give some idea of what these samas look like, and they vary greatly in style, some being very formal and written in an accompanied hand, others in the style of notes squeezed in where place could be found and less easy to read. And to get and ijaza. A common practice was to circulate a formal letter of request or istida'a. And below, I give a partial translation of two samas mentioning the Sheikh, Muhammad Amina bint Ibrahim al-Wasitiyah. In one, she is recorded as attending, the other one as hearing, and she was born in about 664. She attended when she was 3 years old, a class on 40 hadiths of Abd al-Khaliq ibn Zahir ibn Tahir al-Shahami, compiled by Ali al-Sharastani, with the Sheikh Badr al-Din Abu Hafs Omar ibn Muhammad ibn Abi Sa'ad ibn Ahmed al-Kirmani al-Naysaburi, who heard the book from Abu Bakr al-Qasim ibn Abi Sa'ad al-Safar in al-Jamia al-Muzaffari in Mount Qasyun on Saturday, the 25th Safar of 667, with the reading of Najm al-Din Musa ibn Ibrahim ibn Yahya al-Shakrwari, and he gave her permission. She heard the Jews Hanbal ibn Ishaq from her father Abu Ishaq Ibrahim ibn Ali Ahmed ibn Fadl al-Wasiti by his hearing from al-Sheikh Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abi al-Barakat ibn Abi al-Sa'adat al-Harimi by his narration from Abu Shakir Yahya ibn Yusuf al-Suklatuni by his hearing of Abu al-Hasan ibn Shatan al-Baghdadi al-Bazaz from Abu Amr Uthman ibn Ahmad ibn Samak from Abu Ali Hanbal ibn Ishaq al-Shaybani. And this was on Sunday, the 17th of Jumada al-Ula, 673, at the house of Sheikh in Mount Qasyun in Damascus. And in both translations above, the names of others attending the class are omitted. Next, the translation of an istada and ijaza document, seeing the photocopy on the next page. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, it is requested from the favor of the master of the people of Hadith, may God increase their number to grant ijaza to the faqih, Abu Omar Muhammad ibn Ahmed ibn Muhammad ibn Qudama for his son Abdullah, his daughter Zainab, the son of his son Ahmed ibn Omar, for Muhammad ibn Khalaf ibn Rajia, ibn Bilal ibn Isa, for his son Abu al-Fadh Ahmed, daughter of Asiya, and for their mother Amina bint Muhammad ibn Qudama, for all the hadith that they have received by hearing and then received by ijaza, and the rest of what is allowed for them to narrate without them, the sheikhs giving permission and being responsible for whatever invalidates the ijaza. May they continue doing service to the people, written in the last 10 days of Safar 579, and all praise is due to God alone and his mercy on Muhammad the Prophet and his peace. And he started down the first words of the ijaza are translated above and is detailed in page number 97. And I've given them ijaza, and may God guide them to his obedience in all that they ask ijaza for. After avoiding what can weaken an ijaza, may God guide us and them to what pleases him. Written by Muhammad ibn Hamza ibn Muhammad ibn Abi al-Sakr on 24th of Safar 579 in Damascus. While praising God glorified as he, in praying for mercy and peace on our Master Muhammad, his family, and his companions. And like that, I too say that I have given them, may God increase their number and guide them to what pleases him in this world and the next world, permission for all my masmuat and ijazat on the way of the Salaf. May God have mercy on them. It is written by Barakat ibn Ibrahim ibn Tahir ibn Barakat al-Khushua al-Qurayshi, that was on Wednesday, the 12th of Rabi al-Akhir, 579. In querying ijaza. So the scholars discussed and queried ijazas both arduously and responsibly. They did not allow narrations unless the ijaza was confirmed. So here is an example. The great scholar of Hadith, Abu al-Fadl al-Yamuri ibn Sayyid al-Nas, was asked who gave ijazah to Ruqya bint Ismail ibn al-Anmati. Then he answered, as for Ruqya bint Ismail al-Anmati, I've got some ijazah from her father's handwriting in the year 612 and around that year, and none of these ijazahs is she mentioned. Rather, in those ijazahs are mentioned her brother Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Anmati, our sheikh, and his sister Zainab. There are ijazahs from the year 614 where she, Ruqya, is mentioned. That means she was born around that time, and I've seen in the handwriting of Isa al-Anmati that I do not have any doubt of it. It's requested from the masters, the imams, to grant ijazah for the people who for whom the ijazah is requested in the page opposite to this. And for Ruqya bint Ismail ibn Abdullah al-Anmati, everyone narrates all that is valid from their narration in words, and for them is the reward. And it was dated at the end of Jumada al-Ula, year 614, and similarly that they granted ijazah to Safi and Juma, both brothers and slaves of Ibn Anmati, with the group, whatever has been asked for according to the conditions of ijazah. May God benefit all thereby. Ameen. And below that is, I gave them ijazah. May God guide them to narrate what they have been asked with the conditions of its validity, written by Abd al-Samad ibn Muhammad ibn Abi al-Fadl al-Ansari. And below that is, like that says, Muhammad ibn Abaytullah ibn Muhammad ibn Mu'amil al-Shirazi on the 26th Muharram year of 615 in Damascus. And then Abu al-Fadh ibn Sa'id al-Nas records other ijtihads for Ruqya with full documentation and dates to make it clear that she had ijazah from those sheikhs. And we were actually discussing this in particular person in our group afterwards, but Fatima bin Sa'id al-Khair, in regards about her travels, we got a little bit interested in the history regarding this and the amounts of travels that she was making. Uh, but Fatima's father, Sa'id al-Khair, was himself a scholar, and one of his eminent students, al-Sam'ani, author of Al-Ansab, describes him as a muhaddith, faqih, and righteous. And he traveled from his home city of Valencia at the western end of the Islamic world all the way to China. And the reason for his migration is not given, and it's most probable that the Muslim power in Spain waned further. Christian rulers were emboldened to make life for the Muslim subjects increasingly intolerable, and for learned, pious Muslims impossible. And al-Samani says that Sa'id al-Khair faced much hardship, crossed many seas, and through trade attained considerable wealth. He studied with many teachers in Baghdad, Isfahan, Hamadan, and other places. He had several daughters, then much later a son. It was most particularly about their attending Hadith class, traveling with them extensively and repeatedly to different teachers. He also taught them himself. And Fatima's year birth is given as 525. 522 is more likely, but the place is given only as in China, east of Kashgar, and she began very young. Asama records her hearing of al-Durakunti's Kalduafa al-Matrukin of Dhul al-Qadda 529. Asama at the end of the copy of al-Khatib al-Baghdadi's al-Jama'a the Akhlaq al-Rawi al-Adab al-Samai records her hearing it from Rabi al-Awwal and Rabi al-Akhir 529. And al-Mundhiri notes that Sa'ad al-Khair took her several times to the same teachers to consolidate her knowledge. And at Istifan, she studied with Fatima al-Juzdaniya, main narrator in her time of the compilations of al-Tabarani, Tabarani, yeah. Fatima Sa'id al-Khair heard from her mother all of Mujam al-Kabir, printed now in 37 volumes, and Mujam al-Saghir, 2 volumes. And we mentioned in regards about this travel, which initially started all the way on the eastern the travel from the east, Kashgar, all the way into where she eventually studied inside of Cairo or inside of the she never made a Hajj, interestingly enough, but her travels are at least what about 4,000 kilometers just from one end to the next of all the places that she has gone to. But in Baghdad, where it appears she was settled for a time, among her principal teachers were Abu al-Qasim Habitullah ibn Muhammad ibn Hussein, main narrator of Ibn Hanbal's Musnad, Abu al-Qasim Zahir ibn Takir al-Shahami, Abu Ghalib Ahmad ibn al-Hasan ibn al-Banna, and others traveling to the capital. And the list of the books she mastered would be long indeed. After marriage, she moved to her husband to Damascus and from there to Cairo, and much of her teaching career was based in those two cities, and many scholars traveled there expressly to study with her. And Fatima married Zain al-Din Abu al-Hasan Ali Ibrahim ibn Najah, one of her father's students who clearly impressed. He was born in Damascus in 508 and described as pious, noble, high-minded, of praiseworthy character, exceptionally eloquent. He was called Wa'iz for his fame as a preacher, and Rais for the social standing he enjoyed through relations with the Ayyubid court, and he served as secretary for Nur al-Din. And the historians Abu Shama records that he was held in high esteem by both Salah al-Din al-Ayyubi, famous for recovering Jerusalem, and his successor. Yet, despite the great wealth that he had come to him, al-Dhanhabi reports that Ibn Najah died so poor that his friends paid for his shroud. And there was no account of how he unburdened himself so vast a fortune. Perhaps he was very generous in giving it away and successfully concealed that fact. And he died 599, a year before Fatima. And then Habi says, she saw much honor and wealth, yet neither father nor husband nor Fatima herself appear to have been distracted by that wealth into any indisciple or indolence. And to the end of their life, she remained active in diffusing her vast body of knowledge. Muhammad ibn Ismail, later famed as Khatib Marda, carried to his home city her teaching of Musnad, Abi Yala, Hadith al-Hiraki, Ziyadat Amali, Imam Malik, and other works. Ismail ibn Izun read with her al-Tabarani's Muajjam al-Kabir, as did Diya al-Din al-Maqdisi, who carried it to Damascus. And Abdullah ibn Abd al-Wahid ibn Alaq studied with her Hadith al-Quduri, Fawaid Abu Nasr, and Juz al-Ghifiri. And his home city was in Egypt. Her knowledge of Hadith passed to Tinas in Egypt through Abd al-Qasim ibn Hussein al-Qurayshi al-Tunisi to Hamadan through the jurist Abu Muhammad Ishaq ibn Muhammad al-Hamadani, through Abu al-Hasan ibn al-Qasim al-Jiti to Jit near Nablus, and it was not practical to try to list here all of her students or all the places they had come from and return to with her teaching. The entry for Fatima bin Sa'd al-Hayr in the dictionary that I have compiled of the Muhaddithat runs 20 pages, and she died in Cairo in the year 600 at the age of 78. She was buried below the mountain called Moqaddam. As this is the courtyard of Al Jama'a Al Hanbila Al Muzaffari in Damascus. With that, I think we hit a good stopping point here at chapter number 4 at page number 97. We'll stop here, open for a discussion, inshallah. We highly encourage anybody to join us, inshallah. And we would like to see you in the following week as we go into the chapter number 4 for the women teachers. And with that, just like to hire everybody for joining us, and we'll go ahead and close off the live stream. Allahumma subhanahu wa bihamdi, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu